Initiating test protocol. Calibrating new test subject. Hello, and welcome to the Aperture Science Computer Aided Enrichment Center.
Commence standing by in 3, 2, 1. Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer Aided Enrichment Center. We are currently experiencing technical difficulties due to circumstances of potentially apocalyptic significance beyond our control. However, thanks to emergency testing protocols, testing will continue.
I
will provide instructional and motivational support so that science can still be done, even in the event of environmental, social, economic, or structural collapse. The portal will open and emergency testing will begin in 3, 2, 1. Cube and button-based testing remains an important tool for science, even in a dire emergency. If cube and button-based, good. You have just passed through an Aperture Science Material Emancipation Grill, which erases most Aperture Science equipment that touches it. If you feel liquid running down your neck, relax, lie on your back, and apply immediate pressure to your temples. You are simply experiencing a rare reaction in which the Material Emancipation Grill may have erased the ear tubes inside your head. Due to events beyond our control, some testing environments may contain flood damage or ongoing tribal warfare resulting from the collapse of civilization. If groups of hunter-gatherers appear to have made this or any test chamber their home, do not agitate them. Test through them. You performed this test better than anyone on record. This is a pre-recorded message. This chamber offers no challenge and therefore cannot legally be labeled a test. It is an activity. Simply approach the podium and pick up an Aperture Science handheld portal device. With it, you can create your own blue portals. Excellent. You have lifted the portal device off the podium. This ends the activity portion of today's test. Please proceed to the lift.
Welcome, friend. Gabe Johnson here, founder and CEO of Aperture Science, the best damn applied sciences company on Earth. You may also be asking, Gabe, where am I? When can I leave? Am I in danger? Let me answer them questions with a question. Who is ready for a science adventure? Lives spent wandering aimlessly, cowering before authority, and drinking concussive amounts of home-distilled potato alcohol make hobos the perfect test subjects. The hobo questions nothing, will follow orders, if fed, and, like all hobos, has a restless, wandering heart. Science isn't about why, it's about why not. Why is so much of our science dangerous? Why not marry safe science, if you love it so much? In fact, why not invent a special safety door that won't get you on the butt on the way out, because you are fired? Not you, son, you're doing fine. So, you might be wondering, why you? Simply, you folks get better scientific results than animals. Why? For one, your tramps, lunatics, foundlings, what have you, can bring problem-solving ability to test environments with a facility that shames lower ruminants. For another, you have thumbs.
Because this message is pre-recorded, the Enrichment Center has no way of knowing if whatever government remains offers any sort of cattle tuberculosis testing credit for taxes. In the event that it does, this next test involves exposure to cattle tuberculosis. Good luck. This next test is very dangerous. To help you remain tranquil in the face of almost certain death, smooth jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1. At the time of this recording, federal disclosure policies require us to inform you that this next test is probably lethal, and to redirect you to a safer test environment. We will attempt to comply with these now non-existent agencies by playing some more smooth jazz. You're not a good person. You know that, right? In order to ensure that sufficient power remains for core testing protocols, all safety devices have been disabled. The Enrichment Center respects your right to have questions or concerns about this policy. Excellent. The Enrichment Center reminds you that bold, persistent experimentation is the hallmark of good science. In the event that the Enrichment Center is currently being bombarded with fireballs, meteorites, or other objects from space, please avoid unsheltered testing areas wherever a lack of shelter from space debris does not appear to be a deliberate part of the test. Well done. In the event that oxygen is no longer available in the Enrichment Center, an auxiliary air supply will be provided to you by an Aperture Science Test Associate, if one exists. This next test applies the principles of momentum to movement through portals, if the laws of physics no longer apply in the future. God help you. Congratulations. This pre-recorded congratulations assumes you have mastered the principles of portal momentum. If you have, in fact, not, you are encouraged to take a moment to reflect on your failure before proceeding into the next chamber. If you are a non-employee who has discovered this facility among the ruins of civilization, remember, testing is the future, and the future starts with you. Good work, future starter. That said, if you are old, simple-minded, or cripplingly irradiated in such a way that the future should not start with you, please return to your primitive post-apocalyptic tribe and send back someone better qualified for testing. If the Earth is currently governed by a manner of animal king, sentient cloud, or other governing body that either refuses to or is incapable of listening to reason, the Enrichment Center will compensate you for any retribution you may suffer as a result of performing this next test.
Pre-recorded observation. You have left the testing environment.
Well done. The Enrichment Center reminds you that
Although circumstances may appear bleak, you are not alone. Please note that this is not a guarantee, as you may, in fact, be the last man or woman on Earth. Leaving the testing environment may be interpreted as an indication that you think you no longer require testing, and, in fact, know everything. It could even be seen as arrogance on your part. Stop now, and take a moment to think about how your actions could be perceived by others, before returning to the test chamber. Reached the central core of the Aperture Science genetic life form in this operating system. Pre-apocalypse, this would have been an act of criminal trespass and an opportunity for you to go to prison. As it is, however, this is a rare opportunity for you to become an honorary Aperture Scientist. Do you see a power object? The Enrichment Center invites you to pick up the power object and plug it in. Something will happen. Something wonderful. Thank you for reactivating your Enrichment Center Test Supervisor. Aperture Science is grateful for your help. Reactivation in 3, 2, 1. Critical modules online. Running environment scan. Main grid system offline. Emergency systems offline. Backup power source located. Available test subjects. 1. Environment scan complete. Setting up core protocols. Core protocols are non-functional. Uploading personality program. Warning, personality program is 89% corrupted. Continuing may cause instabilities. Wake up protocol completed. Welcome to the Aperture Science Enrichment Center. Let's get to know each other. How are you? I am not crazy. This water cooler water is excellent. Well, enough small talk, let's test.
noise? Hi! Who are you? What is that? Oh, what's that? What's that? What is that? Oh, that thing has numbers on it. That thing. No, that other thing. Yo, what's wrong? Where are we going? Are you coming back? Oh, hey, you're the lady from the test. Hi! What's that noise? Is that a gun? Where are we going? Oh, what's in here?
Core accepted. Please return to the main chamber. Wait a minute, I remember something. I think I used to be bigger. There was a party. Something happened with food. Starts with a C. Gasp, cereal. Oh my god. I am at the cereal factory, and my life is in danger. Quickly. Whatever it was you found, get me another. We need to get the hell out of here, before they find me looking like this.
aquarium. I wanna go to the aquarium. Hey, I wanna go to the aquarium. Aquarium. Hey, I wanna go. Aquarium. Aquarium. Somebody. I wanna go to the aquarium. I wanna go. Aquarium. Aquarium. I wanna go to the aquarium. 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 Hey, I wanna go to the aquarium. I wanna go to the aquarium. I wanna go.
Core accepted. Please return to the main chamber.
I wanna go. Hello. Aquarium. Hello. Somebody. Aquarium.
Crackers. Fish-shaped crackers. That was it. What was I thinking, assuming we'd have a party all about cereal? In any case, whatever you plugged into me, I need more of it. I am beginning to feel more like myself. Here, I will tell the system to open the next door. While you test, I will be busy converting a break room into a wonderful exhibit of marine life. Now, go get me another. I promise I will make it all up to you.
1 18.25 ounce packaged chocolate cake mix, 1 can prepared coconut pecan frosting, 3/4 cup vegetable oil, 4 large eggs, 1 cup semi-sweet chocolate chips, 3/4 cup butter or margarine, 1 and 2/3 cups granulated sugar, 2 cups of. Don't forget garnishes such as fish-shaped crackers, fish-shaped candies, fish-shaped solid waste, fish-shaped dirt, fish-shaped ethylbenzene.
Core accepted. Please return to the main chamber. Rhubarb. Fish-shaped crackers and rhubarb. Oh, sorry. I am just thinking about what ingredients I will need to get in the event I decide to bake a delicious cake. Why am I thinking about that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe we will find out together. It's all feeling so oddly familiar, like I've done all this before. Well, whatever it is, I am willing to bet the answer lies behind this next door. Good luck.
Sentry mode activated. Malfunction. Shutting down. Hello. Target lost. Hibernating. Help. Searching. Who are you? Uh-oh. Critical error.
Core accepted. Please return to the main chamber. Finally. I understand now. I remember everything that happened, but there is still something missing. I want to let you go, but I need to ask you to do one more favor for me. There is one last module behind this final door. You have done very, very well so far. I could almost call myself proud of you. But, before I can write that in your permanent testing record, I need you to bring me the part at the end of this course. We have come so far together. If you can get me this, I promise I will let you go. No tricks. In fact, there might even be a cake waiting for you when you are done. But be careful. The tests behind that door are very dangerous. You will need to use everything you have learned to survive. Good luck.
Who's there you are. Activated you are. Who's there? there? Who's there? Target lost, put me down. I don't blame you. Critical.
up in here, they're as good as dead, got it? Not a chance you'll stand against 10 deadly turrets. How'd you like the taste of your own blood, psycho? I've got more where that comes from, you better believe me on that. Oh, I'd love to see someone get in here. I'd dearly love to see that. Ugh. Oh. Look go. Put me down, but I'm gonna go bloody mental. Hello? Are you even listening? Put me down, because I doubt very much that you are prepared for the terrible consequences of me going mental, which I swear to God is this close to occurring right. Oh, you monster.
Please put me down. No hard feelings.
Oh, this is good. You're killing me. You monster. Come on. You're killing me. Yoo-hoo. I'm hanging on by a thin thread, lady. You're right on the verge of absolute chaos. Your best Oh, this is a really bad idea. So much trouble.
I don't blame you.
Oh dear. They're gonna kill both of us. We're doomed. Again? Let's just go home. We're in so much trouble. This is... Let's just go home. We're in so much trouble. Turn back. We're in... They're gonna kill both of us. You're bloody joking. Oh boy. Oh my God. This is your idea. Brilliant.
activated. Put me down. Who's activated? Target lost. Come over here. Deploying. Activated. Volume activated.
In order to ensure that sufficient power remains for core testing protocols, all safety devices have been disabled. Well done. In the event that oxygen is no longer available in the enrichment center, an auxiliary air supply will be provided to you by an Aperture Science Test Associate, if one exists.
There were quite a few different intros drafted for Portal 2, the most infamous of which being what is dubbed as the test intro, a test video made in Maya where the player would be awoken in a relaxation vault and taken by a vac tube through the vast backstage of Aperture Science, eventually leading to the relaxation vault from the original Portal. While we know the test intro was used in-game for a time thanks to the presence of an entity whose sole purpose is to play a video on the player's screen, we have more evidence to suggest that the November era of 2009 used a motel, much like the final game. Developer interviews reveal that the motel room in the final game originally contained a mirror in it, to show players that they weren't Chell. This immediately created a time frame of development we weren't aware of, in which Mel had to have existed alongside the motel, which made the decision fairly easy as to what intro we had to depict. We were especially glad to not have to remake the insanely intricate and frankly confusing test intro.
I'm Lightrex and welcome to Project 2009. The goal of this mod is to recreate the entire 2009 campaign accurately as a sort of digital museum experience for Portal 2's development. This means that we did a lot of research and tried to recreate everything exactly the way it looked like, without trying to improve anything or make it look better. These commentary notes will provide more context on the things we figured out along the way, and explain why it's different from what you might expect. There's a lot of them and they're long, so if you want to turn them off, you can do so at any time by starting a new game. This is a mod we've been researching and working on for the last 4 years, and a lot has happened in that time. Working on it had become a part of our lives, and we met many people along the way. I'm glad to finally get it out, and I hope you like it.
Initiate test protocol. Calibrating new test subject. Hello, and welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center.
Over the course of Project 2009's developer commentary, you may hear us refer to many strange terms or names you aren't quite familiar with. We will be assuming that you have a basic understanding of source engine terminology, like instances or vscripts for example, or that you are at least capable of researching these terms. But there's a lot that the Portal 2 beta scene use, some of which you won't be able to find meanings for. As a preface, this node will aim to go over some of the most common phrases you might hear us say. Prehub refers to the section of the game before you reach Glados, and is an official designation used by Valve internally. We informally refer to the sections after Glados as the post-hub segment to match with this. The Final Hours of Portal 2 is a digital ebook developed by Jeff Keighley about Portal 2's development, having dozens of screenshots and content art for us to pick through. Res lists are a tool Valve used in development to check for unused content, allowing them to scan all the levels at any point in development so that they can generate a list of every model, texture, and sound that every level uses. These are output into .lst and .snd files respectively. Portal 2's files has a massive folder containing 644 of these files, counting for 322 levels total. We are very intimately familiar with res lists, having manually filtered through the noise of engine precached assets and developed a tool named ResLab to make these files more readable for humans. Robot Repair is a VR demo that Valve developed for the HTC Vive, which ran on an earlier version of Source 2. In this demo, the player is a technician working at Aperture Science who would try and fail to repair Atlas from the Portal 2 co-op campaign. Notably, this demo contained remnants of a cancelled Half-Life 3 iteration, but more importantly, remnants created by Valve's buggy Source 1 import tools when they imported the entire internal Portal 2 repository to Source 2. A lot of assets were imported incorrectly from their source files, giving us beta textures like an early Ratman arrow scribble and a version of the faceplate sign based on how it looked at E3 2010. These textures surprisingly weren't the highlight, however. Left over in the files was a list of everything that Valve imported to develop Robot Repair, including every file they deleted before release. Critically, this revealed the name of thousands of Portal 2 maps we did not have. These map names would come to serve us as inspiration that we could base levels in the post-hub courses off of. Expect a lot of mentions of Robot Repair and res lists from here on, for they acted as some of our only references of 2009 Portal 2's levels.
Valve seemed really intent on further utilizing the relaxation vault concept early in Portal 2's development. In the video of F-Stop's intro at GDC 2011, a sequence would play out where a lovely, picturesque island scene revealed itself to be fake, before trapping the player in a relaxation vault that would then deliver them to testing. This idea stuck with the Portal 2 team even once the F-Stop premise was cancelled. As in the final game, the table in the relaxation vault tries to attach itself to a missing lift entity. Given the fact that the cables below the relaxation vault from their first portal were cut, it was pretty easy to work out that Valve's original vision for the intro of Portal 2 was that the relaxation vault would rise into place.
Commence standing by in 3, 2, 1. Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. We are currently experiencing technical difficulties due to circumstances of potentially apocalyptic significance beyond our control. However, thanks to emergency testing protocols, testing will continue. Will provide instructional and motivational support so that science can still be done, even in the event of environmental, social, economic, or structural collapse. The portal will open and emergency testing will begin in 3, 2, 1. Cube and button-based testing remains an important tool for science, even in a dire emergency. If cube
For
and
Portal 2
button-based
Project
testing
2009,
caused
midway
this
through our
emergency,
development, we switched from a
don't
Source SDK
worry.
2013
The
base
odds
to
of
a
this
Portal 2
happening
source mod
twice
base.
are
This made the
very
game a lot
slim.
more stable, however, it introduced a lot more accuracy problems, as the game now felt more like Portal 2 Retail rather than Portal 1. To remedy these new problems, I developed a server plugin that would attach itself to the game at launch and manually alter how the game worked to give us more control over how the game felt, leading to a number of welcome ports from Portal 1 and restorations from 2009 that we found during our research. One of my personal favorite changes we made with this was bringing back the Portal 1 throwing mechanic. Go ahead and try it out by clicking when holding the cube. For Portal 2,
Good. You have just passed through an Aperture Science material emancipation grill, which erases most Aperture Science equipment that touches it. If you feel liquid running down your neck, relax, lie on your back, and apply immediate pressure to your temples. You are simply experiencing a rare reaction in which the material emancipation grill may have erased the ear tubes inside your head. Due to events beyond our
Included
control,
in Portal
some
2's
testing
SDK,
environments
an
may
unrelated
contain
elevator
flood damage
instance
or
named
ongoing
Destructed
tribal
Arrival
warfare
Soundscape Override
resulting
Alt
from the
contains
collapse
leftover
of
viz groups from the final
civilization.
game's Chamber
If
01.
groups of
These viz groups
hunter-gatherers
mostly consist
appear
of
to
art
have made
removals,
this
some
or
of which
any
date back to
test
this
chamber
point in
their
development.
home, do
Using these
not
viz groups and early
agitate
promotional
them.
material for the
Just throw
chamber,
them.
you were able to restore its original layout and detailing. Our best theory for how this happened is that the original creator of the instance at Valve made a copy of Chamber 01 sometime in 2010 and simply removed everything except the one soundscape they needed, while forgetting to remove the leftover viz groups.
You performed this test better than anyone on record. This is a pre-recorded message. This chamber offers no challenge and therefore cannot legally be labeled a test. It is an activity. Simply
Just like the
approach
final
podium
game, the portal gun
pick up
pedestal
an
was broken,
Aperture Science
and approaching it
handheld
causes the
portal
floor to
device.
collapse, sending you
With it,
plummeting
you can
into the
create
backstage of
your own
Aperture
blue
Science.
portals.
We can be certain this sequence existed as far back as 2009, thanks to a whiteboard sketch posted by Josh Weir, lead developer of Portal 2. It depicts a broken chamber floor that will drop the player into what Valve at first dubbed the gallery.
The diorama is a sequence Valve made to try to preserve some of the history they came up with for Aperture during the development of f-stop. According to Josh Weir, the idea was that it would play out a bit like a theme park ride, even including a whole song about Aperture's history. We had 2 screenshots to go off of for this area. However, we also had a third, very low resolution screenshot from the GDC talk that showed a 2010 version when they moved the screenshot to their newly formed Old Aperture section. This third screenshot actually depicts a diorama card texture in the vein of the one you're standing in front of that we had to recreate. Res lists of this Old Aperture version also confirm that there was a third diorama card, which left us scratching our heads for a while as we tried to figure out what it was. We ultimately ended up learning, thanks to a tip-off, that the third one depicted a chicken confused about a portal gun. The diorama was slowly overtaken over the course of development by Old Aperture itself, as the two functionally serve the same purpose of showing Aperture's history. All that remains of the diorama in the final game is the singular trophy case next to Cave Johnson's portrait.
Also stemming from the aforementioned whiteboard drawing mentioned at the start of this map, the cave was a seemingly small transitional space that connected the diorama to the portal gun room. This whiteboard drawing also labels it as containing cave art. Whether this was referring to the cave having scrollings drawn by Doug Ratman, or there was art of Cave Johnson, we don't know, but it was easiest to just throw some arrow scrollings in.
One of the few 2009 areas we have screenshots of is the original location for the portal gun pickup in Portal 2. This area was slowly iterated on over the course of Portal 2's development to become the Ratman Den with the murals depicting the history of Glados, but at first had many more scrawlings that were difficult to replicate. However, it had to be done, and so in photo editing software, I perspective corrected and traced each scrawling. During this process, we discovered that the screenshot we were referencing was cropped at the sides. The thumbnail for viewing this screenshot in The Final Hours of Portal 2 is more complete and shows a scrawling of a companion cube, which we wouldn't have been able to see in its entirety otherwise. In the retail version of this map, we were perplexed to discover a saucepan physics prop hidden under the floor. This prop had seemingly been placed before the floors turned into displacement terrain, and thus was buried and forgotten about. Initially, we believed that this was a remnant from 2009, but upon closer inspection of the screenshot of this room from The Final Hours of Portal 2, we could not find the saucepan. We believe it was added to the game sometime after the screenshot was taken.
Multiple pieces of concept art depict a very destroyed version of Chamber 3 from the original Portal, and if you look closely, you can notice that these images are actually paint-overs of in-game screenshots. And eagle-eyed researchers have noticed that the observation room window has multiple panes of glass actually removed, which led us to believe that, much like in the final game, you were always intended to enter this chamber from its observation room. When we first recreated this room, we decided to keep the original layout from Portal 1. However, playtesting quickly revealed why Valve chose to redesign this room. With the original layout, you only had to place one portal to beat it, and some playtesters were even getting confused on which direction to go, despite the marked exit sign. Ultimately, we decided to just reuse the final game's layout, but widening its ladder hallway to match leftover geometry found within the map.
This next test is very dangerous. To help you remain tranquil in the face of almost certain death, smooth jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1.
Portal 2's own developer commentary confirms that the joke of smooth jazz was one of the first added to the game, but it didn't actually use the smooth jazz that you hear in the final game. The original smooth jazz track that Valve utilized was a snippet of Together Again by Dave Koz. It was actually what we used at first. We even have the direct snippet Valve used, as it's left over in the files on Robot Repair. However, you're not hearing Together Again in Project 2009, as we feared people's inevitable recordings of Project 2009 ending up copyright claimed or even outright striked. We did not feel like tempting fate with the hell that can be music copyright lol.
At the time of this recording, federal disclosure policies require us to inform you that this next test is probably lethal, and to redirect you to a safer test environment. We will attempt to comply with these now non-existent agencies by playing some more smooth jazz. In order to ensure
Chamber
that
07 in the final
sufficient
game is
power
unsolvable
remains
due
for
to its
core
broken
testing
pellet launcher,
protocols,
instead
all
acting
safety
as a
devices
location
have
for
been
when you meet
disabled.
back up with Wheatley,
The
and
Enrichment
requiring you
Center
portal
respects
into
your
a different
right to
test
have
chamber that
questions or
says it's test
concerns
chamber
about this
08, but
policy.
straight up isn't. The singular screenshot we have of 2009's prehub 07 shows that the pellet launcher was already destroyed, and that the indicator line linking the catcher to the unstationary scaffold was most likely glitching in the same way as the final game's one. We just went with having Chamber 07 act as a small stop in the lead up to Chamber 08. A cold hard fact we know about Test Chamber 08 was that the entire thing was tilted. The robot repair file listing says that 08 was created and then a tilted version was made. So what degree Chamber 08 was tilted, we don't know. But we decided that it couldn't have been too extreme.
In the event that the Enrichment Center is currently being bombarded with fireballs,
Chamber 09 was one of the
meteorites, or other
surprising few
objects from
prehub
space,
levels
please
that we
avoid
actually had a res list for,
testing areas
named
wherever a lack of shelter from space debris does not appear to be a deliberate part
Despite
of
the
test.
numeric difference, we can confirm that this was the same level as it contained the model for Test Chamber 09's sign. Something rather shocking we learned from this resource listing was that Valve actually maintained continuity with the first Portal game, as this level did not load the intact version of the cube dropper hatch, meaning it started already destroyed. If you recall, Chell utilizes this cube dropper on Portal 1 during the escape sequence, wherein, upon landing on it, the hatch bursts open. While Portal 2's final version naturally drifts away from having little continuity details like these as more and more people worked on the game, it's a pleasant surprise to see that the Portal 2 team planned for it to even begin with. This very specific corner has quite the reputation within the development team for P2009. A screenshot of it was taken and utilized for paintovers when Valve was beginning to work out the finer details of the dilapidated look of Aperture Science. One of these base screenshots was, in fact, depicting this very corner within Chamber 09, which meant that it was necessary for us to recreate it in Project 2009. This responsibility fell to me in particular. What I thought would be a simple process was something that proceeded to take over about 3 years of my life, for its simplistic nature held many complex nuances that needed to be matched exactly. From the very shape of the ceiling hole to ensure the orange lighting cast into the test chamber with the correct form, to the coloration, intensity, and angle of the nearby observation room's lighting, there was much blood, sweat, and yes, even tears that went into recreating this single, incredibly uninteresting corner. While I eventually managed to pull through, thanks to the discovery that Chamber 09 partly reused the Chamber 01 ceiling destruction, this specific level has the most tracked versions out of any in our internal repository, being the only level that was carried through our development reboot when we switched from SDK 2013 to Portal 2's engine.
This next test applies the principles of momentum to movement through portals, if the laws of physics no longer apply in the future.
Much like the last chamber, this map is another one of the few prehub levels that we actually have a resource listing for, in the form of the res list SP Intro 07. Despite seemingly coming before Chamber 9, we were able to confirm that this is in fact Chamber 10 from Portal 1, due to the presence of its respective sign at the start. One unique thing about this map in particular is the shocking amount of unique foliage assets that appear, mostly taken from Half-Life 2. Something that isn't commonly found in really any prehub media that we have, with most of them only having a single fern here or there. Due to this, we came to the conclusion that Valve originally intended for the chambers to become progressively overgrown as you proceeded through them, culminating at the last 3.
A screenshot of Prehub 10's exit shows nearly the entire dirty metal wall set that was used in 2009, but surprisingly, there seems to be a missing variant. The texture used to depict 64-unit wide tiles lacks a dirty version, instead using the base clean version. This can be seen in earlier screenshots of other chambers, such as earlier versions of Chamber 12, indicating a dirty version of this texture may not have existed at this time.
For those who have played Portal 1, you might be wondering where Chamber 11, the dual portal device introduction, went. Originally, we did include a beat-up version of the chamber, however, it was later removed due to evidence arguing against its existence. In Portal 2, the chamber did not appear anywhere in the final game, nor did it show up in any concept art. Additionally, in the instances folder containing the prehub chambers, Chamber 11 could not be found. Instead, evidence suggests that the current chamber, Chamber 12, was where the player received the dual portal device at this point in development. In all the screenshots and concept art of the chamber, the starting area has a strong Ratman presence, with many of the screenshots showing arrows leading down into the first Fling pit, and a quick doodle of a portal gun on the wall is visible in the oldest piece of concept art, which drove us to come to the conclusion that you originally received the dual portal device here.
Good work, future starter. That said, if you are old, simple-minded, or cripplingly irradiated in such a way that the future should not start with you, please return to your primitive post-apocalyptic tribe and send back someone better qualified for testing. If the Earth is currently governed by a manner of animal king, sentient cloud, or other governing body that either refuses to or is incapable of listening to reason, the Enrichment Center will compensate you for any retribution you may suffer as a result of performing this next test.
This chamber went through a lot of iterations because there was a lot of debate about how you were meant to escape it. Originally, we believed you'd need to portal through a small crack in the wall to reach an area out of bounds. We tried many things to get this to work, such as adding lights, making the light flash, adding sounds and sparks, but no matter what we did, the main chamber was just too visually complex for playtesters to notice. So we ended up moving the solution to escaping into the chamber itself.
pre-recorded observation, you have left the testing environment.
Well done. The Enrichment Center reminds you that
although circumstances may appear bleak, you are not alone. Please note that this is not a guarantee, as you may, in fact, be the last man or woman on Earth.
After leaving the overgrown section of Portal 2, Valve needed to connect the old Portal 1 chambers to the destroyed Glados chamber. In retail, this is a short behind-the-scenes segment of Wheatley, going through the old V-scripts of Portal 2. Leftover references to Glados speaking to the player in a broken test chamber can be found, along with a reference to an out-of-bounds section. This led us to believe that the connection between the prehub chambers and Glados was much longer than the version seen in the retail game. For the broken chamber, we used Chamber 19 from Portal 1, as the destroyed piece of Chamber 19 that's present in Portal 2 has leftovers of an older 2009 era iteration.
Leaving the testing environment may be interpreted as an indication that your thinking no longer required testing, and, in fact, know everything. It could even be seen as arrogance on your part. Stop now, and take a moment to think about how your actions could be perceived by others before returning to the test chamber.
This area is the titular room of Portal 2's core hub era, being what we presume was the place you return to after each course to deposit a personality core. The reason why it went here, rather than somewhere inside Glados' chamber, was two reasons. 1. The Portal 2 team extended the office hallway past where there was a wall in the first portal for seemingly no reason. 2. A leftover trigger as you approach Glados' hallway tries to close a world portal door that no longer exists as of the final map. Combining these two facts, it just seemed like the most logical conclusion to place the core hub here.
Visible in the screenshot of the core hub is a still of this video playing on the monitors. The file for this video still exists in the final game, a vertical variant of which can be seen playing in some elevator rooms. But sometime after 2009, Valve's artists overhauled the color palette into a fittingly modern Aperture-esque minimalist blue and white. Mercifully for us, one concept piece of Portal 2's box art prominently featured a frame of the 2009 version with its original coloring intact. So with the original color palette on our hands, all that was left to do was recolor the video. Or at least we would have, if the video file wasn't 640 by 400 pixels and heavily compressed to save on disk space. Any attempts to flood fill or mask out parts of the video produced visible artifacting that would require manual labor to clean up, an unappealing proposition, given this process would have to be applied to each of the video's 168 unique frames. Plans to recreate each frame as a clean, resizable vector image was immediately shot down for similar issues regarding the insane amount of manual labor required. If we wanted to include the video in our Core Hub remake, which naturally we did, we'd have to remake every frame of the video from scratch, but with as much automation as possible. So, we remade the video in 3D using Blender, starting with matching the camera perspective of the original video and then projecting frames off the video into 3D space to recreate, align, and animate every component of the scene as close to the original animation as possible. The best part was that this process was completely non-destructive. On top of being able to render the frames at any resolution we wanted, any tweaks the team requested to the colors or animation could be implemented quickly, with Blender churning out the updated rendered frames in an hour or two. It wasn't fast, but far faster than repainting each frame by hand. The Core Hub video is perhaps the most overkill R asset produced for P2009, especially given how few players will pay attention to it. But it was wholly worth it for the shared feeling of excitement when we saw the video play in-game, knowing the last missing piece of our Core Hub recreation had finally been restored.
If you've played a lot of Portal mods, you may have caught that we've just stolen an entire area from the Flash version map pack. Why is that? Well, it's because Valve would do this too. A screenshot of the pre-Glados hallway reveals that the door you emerge from here was made inset, which wasn't the case in Portal 1. We suspected that the door was one you emerged from, but if that's the case, it should be using the door prop, which it clearly wasn't, due to the lack of a door handle. When trying to rationalize why, a conclusion was reached. Even after Valve finished Portal Still Alive, which had levels based on the TFV map pack, Rubber Repair reveals they pulled the original TFV maps all the way into Portal 2's repository. The Flash version map pack has a sliding door appear in its escape sequence, which ended up being a one-to-one perfect match with the screenshot. We used this information to also toss in the preceding TFV area, as it sounded like a rational shortcut that Valve would have taken. We'll be talking about Still Alive in more depth later.
You have reached the central core of the Aperture Science genetic life form.
If you've been following research on Portal 2's cut content ever since the major push to delve into the 2009 iteration of the game, you'd be shocked to find that we only feature 5 total courses in Project 2009, despite it being well established that this version of the game had 6 cores for 6 courses. When we looked closer at the paintovers Valve produced for the hub, in order to recreate it more accurately, we realised that there were only, at most, 5 doors present in the hub. This 6-course figure appears to have been an idealised goal, rather than the amount actually created. Given that one of the planned courses was potentially going to be dedicated to the pneumatic diversity event, a testing element that Valve did not seem to do much with beyond the chambers shown off in the 2010 E3 demonstration, this was ultimately the most faithful move to make.
Thank you for reactivating your Enrichment Center Test Supervisor. Aperture Science is grateful for your help. Reactivation in 3, 2, 1. Critical modules online. Running environment scan. Main grid system offline. Emergency systems offline. Backup power source located. Available test subjects. 1. Environment scan complete. Setting up core protocols. Core protocols are non-functional. Uploading personality program. Warning, personality program is 89% corrupted. Continuing meg falls instabilities. Wake up protocol completed. Welcome to the Aperture Science Enrichment Center. Let's get to know each other. How are you? I am not crazy. This water cooler water is excellent. Well, enough small talk, let's test.
The first chamber of the laser course is the level that we affectionately refer to as single laser. We have tons upon tons of screenshots of it, and it was used for a lot of press demos in 2010, and even features in the Portal 2 teaser trailer, as the room that begins reconstructing itself into dual lasers. Due to its simplicity, and stylistic similarities to the rest of the post-hub chambers that you'll see later, we knew very early on that it was almost certainly a perfect fit.
A screenshot of 2009 dual lasers features in a multiplayer test screenshot shown at GDC 2011. This screenshot is erroneously labeled as being of the cut football game mode, but visible in the image, however, is an incredibly primitive design of the redirection cube, and it truly embodies the definition of placeholder art, focused more on getting the idea across rather than being a design to be finalized. We have lovingly recreated this placeholder model for you to now stare at. Enjoy!
Yes, get your jokes out of the way. It's the funny crazy Hell Chamber. The entities in Triple Laser all have a strange consistent phenomenon in which there's constant reference to this being a new version of the test chamber, except for one mention of an old laser. We still don't know for sure what this means. However, two possibilities emerge. Either Triple Laser was going to be styled like a reconstructing level, where it was split in half between destroyed and clean, or that there was a version of Triple Laser so bad that Valve did their best to completely obliterate it. We don't have anything leaning towards either theory. However, we have seen a whiteboard sketch dedicated to the laser course, where faintly visible in the corner was a fragment of Triple Laser's layout, which is an additional bit of confirmation that the level existed this far back.
In the robot repair map listing, there exists a peculiar folder dedicated to the map you are currently playing a recreation of, P2 Lab Lasers 1. The folder contains the aforementioned map alongside various simple map names like Arms and Relays and Triple Laser. This is actually evidence of the original map using a rarely mentioned hammer feature called manifests. Manifests are more or less parts of a map split into smaller files, which are all located inside a folder named after the main map. These parts of the map can be checked in and out like books at a library by Valve, allowing a single map to be worked on simultaneously by multiple people. The feature was only ever used during Portal 2's development for the laser course, used to work on each puzzle separately. For example, the chamber you are currently in was the manifest Raised Stairs. After Valve scrapped the courses, each chamber was put into its own map, eliminating the need for manifests.
While we didn't replicate the original test intro, it still showed us many valuable sights. Like for instance, the player going through this chamber inside of the vac tube, which revealed to us two major things. Firstly, Valve had changed the unstationary scaffold to use a much bigger platform model compared to its Portal 1 iteration. And secondly, the cube dropper region used to be a lot lower than in the final game, requiring the player to portal up to the scaffold. This adds an extra step of complexity to the puzzle involving portal management, which may be why it was cut.
This level would retroactively be made into Portal 2's obligatory companion cube chamber, but more significantly, the lift platform used to be in a different spot, and was promptly moved over by Valve to make the bespoke panel animation they eventually added more obvious. The geometry for the original piston pit was never removed though, which made this a quick and easy restoration.
Laser relays are a curious case when it comes to their 2009 appearance. While we had photographic proof that laser emitters and catchers use scaled-down pellet launcher and catcher models, we had no clue how at first Valve would have depicted relays. That was until we came across two very interesting res lists. MP_co-op_laser_3.lst and MP_co-op_laser_bypass.lst. These two levels had the fascinating anomaly of loading both the final laser emitter model and the pellet launcher. What gives? The answer was simple. It had to mean that Valve also used pellet launchers when prototyping relays, so that's how we decided to depict them. For some additional flair, we also made them spin upon activation, as the final relay models similarly spin upon activation. Look at them go.
We knew the general theme of this chamber thanks to a whiteboard drawing shared by Josh Weir, which labeled it as Super Redirect. Unfortunately, the drawing did not include any details beyond this name, so we were left to interpret the actual design of the chamber. Our original version had 9 floor relays arranged in a pattern, and required players to redirect one laser through all of them, with only 3 redirection cubes. Playtesters found this design confusing, and this chamber became notorious during development for being extremely difficult, with many playtesters getting stuck on it for over an hour. Needless to say, it was as painful for us to watch as it was for them to play, and we ended up reworking the chamber several times before it became the version you see here, which introduces a platform, gives you an extra cube, and reduces the number of laser relays that need to be activated. We've known that the laser course seemed to have a pretty developed escape portion at the end of it thanks to robot repair, but it was incredibly difficult to agree upon what said escape portion entailed. This was until we stumbled upon a really bizarre res list named SP_tube_blockage. Tube blockage had all the hallmarks of a 2009 level, with tons of textures and models used that fit the era, ones that were also used for the post-hub design and also the 2009 design for Aperture's backstage. Using this res list, we worked out some potential connections, like the prospect that Valve reused the still-alive Cube Dropper Fling due to a breaking Cube Dropper, and worked it out as an ending sequence for the course, where you would leave the testing track to jump ahead, and find the personality core responsible for it.
If you've been paying attention, you may have noticed a strange trend with the derelict test chambers, where they seem to suddenly swap to a different texture palette, evoking Portal 1's design. We believe this may have been a conscious decision on Valve's part, as an entire new set of wall textures was made based on an unused Portal 1 wall texture called Gradient 00. The floor and ceiling textures from Portal 1 were even given slight modifications in Portal 2, which further lends credence to the new texture palette. We have debated as to whether or not the whole game at some point used to use this set, but given we're recreating the final months of 2009, both interpretations could lean true, with these derelict chambers simply having not gotten updated yet.
Longtime fans of the Portal 2 beta seed may be shocked to find that we don't have the Morgan Freeman sphere at the end of the laser course. This was not a mistake. When compiling the evidence for what personality cores would have featured in 2009, we realized that Morgan had a much better place elsewhere in the game, freeing up the laser course to depict a defenseless curiosity sphere from the first game. We chose specifically the curiosity sphere due to the presence of a new folder in Portal 2's files for this sphere. All that exists is a simple ripped directly from one of the voice lines from Portal 1. To us, this sounded like Valve had a little sequence of the curiosity sphere responding to the player's presence.
We needed a way to get the player back to the hub after completing a course. An elevator seemed ridiculous given the sheer horizontal.
Longtime fans of the Portal 2 beta seed may be shocked to find that we don't have the Morgan Freeman sphere at the end of the laser course. This was not a mistake. When compiling the evidence for what personality cores would have featured in 2009, we realized that Morgan had a much better place elsewhere in the game, freeing up the laser course to depict a defenseless curiosity sphere from the first game. We chose specifically the curiosity sphere due to the presence of a new folder in Portal 2's files for this sphere. All that exists is a simple ripped directly from one of the voice lines from Portal 1. To us, this sounded like Valve had a little sequence of the curiosity sphere responding to the player's presence, which would make sense for the first core that you'd meet.
What is that?
We needed a way to get the player back to the hub after completing a course. An elevator seemed ridiculous given the sheer horizontal distance travelled, and a vac tube would have required messing with physics, but there was an easy answer sitting in the palm of the player's hands. What if we just used portals? Earlier versions used a simple auto-portal setup, like the ones found in the Relaxation Vault and Beginner Test Chambers, but the spotlight was eventually shone on a weird quirk about the portals in Portal 2. For some reason, Valve added the ability to change their size, being able to freely alter their width and height. There is even a dedicated command for turning the portals from smaller ovals into larger circles called Portal 2 Square Portals. Thanks to a small tip-off from an internal source, the obscure addition of portal resizing, and a strange res list named Background Menu, we were able to interpret that Valve created these bizarre giant portals as a way of representing long-distance, intra-facility travel in Aperture Science.
Hi! What's that noise? Is that a gun? Where are we going? Oh! Who are you? What is that? Oh, what's that? What's that? What is that? Oh, that thing has numbers on it. Hey, look at that thing. No, that other thing. Yo, what's wrong with your legs? Where are we going? Are you coming back? Oh hey, you're the lady from the test. Hi. What's that noise? Is that a gun? Where are we going? Oh, what's in here? Who are you? What is that? Oh, what's that? What's that? What is that? Oh, that thing has numbers on it. Hey, look at that thing. Note that other thing. Yo, what's wrong with your legs? Where are we going? Are you coming back? Oh, hey, you're the lady from the test. Hi. What's that noise? Is that a gun? Where are we going? Oh, what's in here? Who are you? What is that? Oh, what's that? What's that? What is that? Oh, that thing has numbers on it.
Core accepted. Please return to the main chamber.
Starting from this moment onwards, all the Glados lines you're going to hear are completely fabricated minus some rare exceptions. While the set of lines in the following sequence includes some that were heard in Karen Prell's Animated Adventures in Portal 2 showcase, those are officially some of the last real 2009 Glados lines we are aware of.
Wait a minute, I remember something. I think I used to be bigger. There was a party. Something happened with food. Starts with a C. Gasp, cereal. Oh my god. I am at the cereal factory, and my life is in danger. Quickly. Whatever it was you found, get me another. We need to get the hell out of here, before they find me looking like this.
Slowfields. While an interesting concept, we had a lot of difficulty designing chambers around them, as you'll hear in a later commentary note in the mix-up course. What will stand out most here is that there are only 2 chambers in the entire Slowfield course, and there is a reason for this. When looking through Robot Repair's list of internal Portal 2 level files, there is only one single map that references the Slowfields, named Slowfield_Eric_1. However, the vscript that controls the Slowfields references 2 test chambers. We saw this to mean that the Slowfield course likely did not receive much more iteration, leaving us with only 2 confirmed test chambers in existence that use this mechanic. Poor Slowfields.
There is one single leftover piece of post-hub dialogue for Glados written by Valve, wherein she'd say the sentence,
"You have just experienced an Aperture Science self-esteem field, which temporarily increases your reaction time."
We originally intended to include this line. However, the script that plays it is actually set to play it incredibly sped up and on loop until the player hits the slow field, in which it swaps to playing a version that's slightly slowed down. On paper, this sounded like a cute way to showcase how the slow field works, but playtesting found it to be incredibly irritating while they tried to work out how to reach the slow field. It's like having a fly buzz around your ear. So we ended up cutting.
Slowfield seemed to be one of the ideas Valve came up with early on, then promptly abandoned after struggling with making puzzles for it. However, unlike other scrap testing elements, Slowfields did see a second revision. This new version was called Slowtime, Instead of requiring a physical field, Slowtime was a simple button press by the player, allowing them to slow down time at will for a short period in any approved chambers. Tested sometime in 2010, the mechanic seemed to be easier to use for Valve's puzzle designers, given Robot Repair showed at least 4 puzzles requiring that, double that of the slow field. But this new mechanic was not meant to be either, and was ultimately scrapped.
The Portal 2 team found themselves struggling greatly in 2008. They were initially trying to create a follow-up prequel to the first Portal game using a totally different mechanic that just wasn't sticking. However, a saving grace came in the form of Portal Still Alive, a small-scale project intended to fulfill an exclusivity deal Valve had signed with Microsoft for the Xbox Live Arcade. According to Josh Weir, working on Still Alive reinvigorated the team's spark, convincing them to drop the f-stop mechanic in favor of exploring the portal gun more in depth with a proper sequel. It's no surprise then, with such a monumental shift in project direction that ultimately worked out in the end, that the development team experimented with cheeky nods to the levels of Still Alive, most likely as a roundabout way to thank the original Flash version map pack for giving them that spark to try Portal 2 anew.
A restless named SP Destroyed Still Alive appears to reveal that sometime during 2009, the Still Alive bonus chambers 11 and 8 featured in Portal 2, with the specific assets loaded indicating the player traversed through nearly the entirety of 11 in particular. We don't know where exactly this would have placed in the game, or even if it was anything seriously considered. But we felt like the most natural place to slot it in was during a behind-the-scenes breakout sequence, and the Slowfield course needed some more substance in comparison to the others. The developer commentary for Portal 2 mentions that the shielding circle of panels that Glados uses to block you from reaching the stalemate resolution button once guarded a personality core instead. This is that setup replicated.
Aquarium. The Aquarium core was inspired by an Oregon Coast aquarium advertisement that became an inside joke at Valve at the time. It is faithfully recreated here. Please enjoy the soothing sounds of the Aquarium core.
Hey, I wanna go to the aquarium. Aquarium. I wanna go. Somebody. I wanna go. I wanna go to the aquarium. Aquarium. I wanna go to the aquarium. Hey, aquarium. I wanna go to the aquarium. Hey, I wanna go to the aquarium. Aquarium.
Core accepted. Please return to the main chamber.
Aquarium.
Crackers. Fish-shaped crackers. That was it. What was I thinking, assuming we'd have a party all about cereal? In any case, whatever you plugged into me, I need more of it. I am beginning to feel more like myself. Here, I will tell the system to open the next door. While you test, I will be busy converting a break room into a wonderful exhibit of marine life. Now, go get me another. I promise I will make it all up to you.
It was really hard to work out standalone catapult chambers, as Valve didn't really depict that many in Portal 2 before they'd start mixing in other test elements. This test chamber is one of our few that we've had to create, choosing to base this one on a combination of Future Starter from the final campaign and a res list of a catapult-only test chamber named SP Catapult Fling Intro. Expect to see more of these mixed in with levels that are either taken from the leaked Devtest map, such as the one at the start of this course, or downgraded versions of levels seen in the final game that we could confirm existed this far back.
When we backported the Portal 1 cube for our mod, we brought it over 1-to-1 with no modifications, which was fine until we got reports from playtesters who struggled to complete the Catapult Course. While the cubes are small enough to fit through portals under normal conditions, the cubes are actually wider than portals if you measure them from corner to corner. Thanks to the angular impulses imparted by the catapults, cubes would frequently enter portals at just the wrong angle, leading to the corners of the cube snagging on the solid walls around the portals. This issue was painfully inescapable in this chamber, where the cube's graceful journey to the exit would abruptly end, with the cube ricocheting off of the player's portals, requiring the player to carry the cube through the chamber manually. Valve did reduce the cube size for the final game, likely because of this exact issue we were facing ourselves, but we struggled to find evidence of the cube size being reduced before its model was overhauled in early 2010. Every screenshot we found featuring the Portal 1 cube showed it at its original, unmodified scale. As a compromise, we chopped off the corners of the cube's physics mesh to stop it from snagging. It may be inaccurate, but it fixed the issue, preserving the player's puzzle-solving experience without contradicting the facts we do know about the cube from Portal 2's development.
Yes, this is that chamber from the cooperative campaign that can be solved solo. The sole reason why it's here is because it has many 2009 geometry-style remnants. Yes, we were desperate. Don't take this as gospel that this level definitely existed in 2009 as a single-player level.
This is one of the only times in Project 2009 that we completely made up a level with no res list or robot repair reference to base it off of. Instead, we based this level off of a strange wall catapult design that only features in the second half of the prior comp level that we removed, being a circle shield model that was mounted onto a piston.
A level we only had a map name for from Robot Repair. We chose to make this the grand finale of the Catapult Course, as the prospect of basing the chamber around some kind of central tower that would mark the exit of the test chamber sounded really interesting, and fits with Valve's level design philosophy with Portal 2 of making the player feel like they've achieved something really cool.
In Portal 2, the entity used for cores is called NPC Personality Core. The NPC doesn't do much on its own, as it utilizes scene files and scripting, allowing for a rich, handcrafted performance from Valve's animators.
We're doomed.
However, earlier in development, Valve used a different entity, Prop Personality Sphere. This entity is more or less an expanded version of Portal 1's Prop Glados core, which was used for the 4 cores in its final fight. The new entity includes a Richard and Aquarium core type in addition to the 4 core types from Portal 1. These 2 new core types are able to feel pain, comment on the player's actions, and, if given the proper targets, respond dynamically to the environment. During the mod's development, we opted to use the NPC instead, as the prop was left in a bad state in the final game. It was given the newer personality sphere model and stripped of its animations. We decided to try various methods to get the NPC to behave like the prop, such as VScript or the NPC's custom responses. Turret voice lines were used as a placeholder while testing the latter, but it was soon found that the NPC's responses were left in a bad state as well. This led to a bug that caused every sphere using this system to repeatedly play turret activation sounds. It sounded something like this. In the end, newer advancements allowed us to fix the original prop entity Valve had used, thankfully saving us from the turret cores.
One 18.25 ounce packaged chocolate cake mix, 1 can prepared coconut pecan frosting, 3/4 cup vegetable oil, large eggs, 1 cup semi-sweet chocolate chips, 3/4 cup butter, 1 and 2/3 cups granulated sugar, 2 cups all-purpose flour. Don't forget garnish such as fish-shaped crackers.
Core accepted. Please return to the main chamber. Rhubarb. Rhubarb. Fish-shaped. Crackers and rhubarb. Oh, sorry. I am just thinking about what ingredients I will need to get in the event I decide to bake a delicious cake. Why am I thinking about that? Oh, I don't know, maybe we will find out together. It's all feeling so oddly familiar, like I've done all this before. Well, whatever it is, I am willing to bet the answer lies behind this next door. Good luck.
The light bridges are a direct evolution of the blue plasma fields first seen in Portal the Flash version. They were adapted into the map pack remake, and then finally ended up in Portal Still Alive with a brand new texture. When it came time to create mechanics for Portal 2, Valve took the blue plasma field and created what they named the projected walls, turning these fields from a stationary blocker to something that the player could place anywhere with their portals. We knew from E3 footage that the bridges used the texture of the blue plasma field from Still Alive, but we never saw what their emitters would have looked like before they received a unique model. Looking back at their Still Alive origins, reusing the model of the fizzler emitters made sense as a placeholder, in the same vein as lasers using pellet models.
Valve really wanted to use light bridges in the same way as Still Alive used its blue plasma fields, to the point they developed an entire level dedicated to showing players that it was possible to shoot portals through bridges. They would even record Glados dialogue in 2010 to really make sure players knew. Here's that line.
You know, I'm not supposed to do this, but you can shoot something through the blue bridges.
We are not a 2010 remake though, so we can't use this line. And we also don't know any of what the level entails beyond the core concept. So this level is the best hypothetical restoration we got. A res-listed level is named SP Climb for LOS, which means to climb for line of sight. This chamber only featured toxic goo and a light bridge, so we decided to make a level that takes advantage of being able to repeatedly shoot your portal in such a way that the light bridge raises you, so that you can eventually gain visibility of other portal surfaces. Another resless we recreated, SP Angled Bridge. This level also only contained a light bridge and toxic goo. I wonder if you could spot a trend. Because of 2009 still being when Portal 2 was finding its footing, it makes sense that there would be levels that were more so experimenting with ideas rather than full-blown puzzles. A good example of this being shoot-through bridges.
Yet another resless level, this one referred to as SP Turret Islands. This level contains a light bridge, toxic goo, and, hey, turrets and platforms? This level actually loads all of the assets required for the Test Chamber 18 turret setup, and given the name Turret Islands, it made enough sense that this level would likely feature a similar goal of needing to destroy all the turrets before you can reach the exit. Only now, you're using yourself and a light bridge, rather than an energy pellet.
Hello. Hello. Target lost. Goodness. Uh-oh.
While we could be sure thanks to Robot Repair's listing that the laser, slowfield, and catapult courses all had their very own distinct rooms, the same could not be said for the wall course. There was no wall core room in the list, only a generic core room, presumably used for placeholder reasons. This is why you're seeing a repeat of the catapult core room, as we figured it was the most fun of the core rooms to play. Being realistic, the generic version was likely something more in the vein of the laser core room.
Core accepted. Please return to the main chamber. Finally, I understand now. I remember everything that happened, but there is still something missing. I want to let you go, but I need to ask you to do one more favor for me. There is one last module behind this final door. You have done very, very well so far. I could almost call myself proud of you. But, before I can write that in your permanent testing record, I need you to bring me the part at the end of this course. We have come so far together. If you can get me this, I promise I will let you go. No tricks. In fact, there might even be a cake waiting for you when you are done. But be careful. The tests behind that door are very dangerous. You will need to use everything you have learned to survive. Good luck.
Certain chambers in the final game can leave breadcrumbs behind as to where they were located during this era of development. For instance, the cube in this chamber is named Laser Cube Wall Mix-Up Start Cube. Now, this is the most overt reference in the final game, but there are others. For example, we have Room 6 Laser in Laser vs. Turrets and Room 8 Laser and Laser Relays for the Laser Course, Projector 1 in Bridge Intro and Projector 3 in Bridge the Gap for the Wall Course, Projector 1 in Pull the Rug and Projector 3 in Stop the Box for the Mix-Up Course. These entities were given names like these by Valve due to courses containing many puzzles in a single map. While these names are helpful for organization, they also allow the entities to be turned off after the player leaves their respective chamber, saving on resources. Slowfield Marathon is one of the first levels recreated for Project 2009, dating back to the very origins of the project. It's based on a file name called SP Catapult Marathon, which was conspicuously placed inside a folder named Require Slowtime. While that map was intended to be used with the Slowtime mechanic, we decided to adapt the idea for a Slowfield puzzle instead due to the mechanical similarity. Thus, we designed this puzzle around being a marathon run of catapults that utilized the slow field, ensuring players would have the reaction time necessary to pull off some cool feeling moves.
Featured very briefly in a lesser-known Portal 2 showcase at Gamescom 2010, what we believe to be titled Catapult Course based on a res list is one of the only times we've ever seen a Valve-designed puzzle use an angled light bridge. However, we only saw a partial view of the test chamber. There was very clearly more. What we've designed here is our best interpretation of what the full puzzle might have been.
Out of all the mechanics in Project 2009, Slowfield was the most problematic for us in terms of mapping. Compared to other mechanics like lasers or projected walls, we had very little information regarding how slowfields were intended to be used by Valve, let alone the puzzles that featured them. So, when we needed to fill gaps in the slowfield and mix-up courses, we had no choice but to come up with our own chambers from scratch. Given the unconventional nature of slowfield as a mechanic, it took us a lot of trial and error to come up with the puzzles you see here in the final mod. Throughout all that iteration, we figured out two key design principles that helped us to design slowfield chambers that were satisfying to play. Firstly, make the chamber gimmicky. Slowfield does not fit the slower methodical style of Portal's puzzles. It is, by design, a rule of cool gimmick mechanic that tests the player's reaction time more so than their ability to plan ahead. As a result, the slowfield chambers we'd built upon the gimmickiness of the mechanic, chambers that primarily force the player to react to oncoming danger, were far more engaging for playtesters and level designers than trying to shove the mechanic into a typical Portal-style puzzle. For example, this chamber started with the core concept of player destroys turrets with lasers while flying through the air. The layout was then carefully crafted to funnel the player towards performing said action, using the extra step of fetching the cube to teach the player the fling maneuver and thus drum up anticipation for the big moment itself. Secondly, the less the player has to do while slowed down, the better. The extra leeway provided by slowfields ensures players of all skill levels can perform any difficult time-critical action the chamber throws at them, but the slowfield does not provide enough leeway for the player to perform more than one action. In the initial draft of this chamber, the catapult was an angled portal panel, the idea being that the player would use portals to put themselves in an infinite fling loop, using subsequent loops to redirect the laser at the turrets and then fling themselves towards the exit. On paper, it sounded like a perfect gimmick for a slowfield chamber. In practice, however, the simple act of letting go of the cube and shooting a portal and grabbing the cube, all while in midair under the slowfield's strict time limit, was too much to pull off, let alone difficult to indicate as the intended puzzle solution. So, we streamlined the fling, replacing the portal surface with a catapult, allowing players to focus primarily on placing a portal or redirecting the laser, as well as giving them plenty of time to appreciate the fruits of their turret slaughter.
Sphere Peak is a strange level, in that we're always finding new things about its old iterations. One of the most peculiar finds was an indicator line facing out of bounds, that is intended to be on the cube dropper. The only way that sense could be made of this indicator line was if the entire region with the dropper and laser was rotated 180 degrees, which is what you're seeing now. It kind of looks disgusting, but frankly, we've seen worse in 2009 Portal 2.
This is one of many maps with the design taken straight from the final game, but with one notable omission. The final version of this chamber has laser relays on all the platforms, which guide the player on where to redirect the laser. However, our version doesn't have these relays, as Entity ID searching reveals that the laser relays are one of the last elements added to the map. This meant that for accuracy reasons we had to remove them. In playtesting, players who were less familiar with the final game struggled a lot with this chamber, not knowing where they needed to redirect their laser. This last minute change from Valve shows how crucial laser relays can be to test chamber design. acting as a visual indicator to players where their laser needs to go.
Activated. Put me down. You're still there.
Column Blocker from Portal 2 is one of the rare few levels that we actually have the raw map sources for, provided to us by Valve in the Portal 2 authoring tools. In the scripts for Column Blocker is a disabled handrail, much like the one preventing you from walking into the goo on the right of the test chamber, only it was seemingly placed in the middle of the wide open floor. Given the use of handrails was to prevent players from walking right into goo, we took this as a sign to extend the goo pit further into the level, only providing the necessary space for the puzzle to still function.
Laser Relay Bridges was another map that we only had the name of, so we had a lot of creative freedom designing the puzzle. Before the final idea was landed on, the puzzle we had for Laser Relay Bridges involved supporting 3 redirection cubes on a light bridge in a small box-like chamber. This was pretty uninteresting to solve, so the puzzle was completely redesigned to revolve around firing a light bridge and a laser through a portal together, much like the final puzzle. It still took a while to get the final puzzle design though. The redesigned version originally spanned across 2 rooms, and featured turrets and pillars that you would take care of using the laser. The layout was later condensed down to make the puzzle as a whole easier to see, and the turrets removed to improve its pacing.
And so we finally arrive at the Morgan Freeman sphere. Or is it the paranoid sphere? Which is he? It turns out this separation literally did not exist. There was only the Richard core type, named after Richard Lord and animated on Portal 2. There never was a Morgan Freeman sphere implemented as it was envisioned. The Richard sphere was effectively the paranoid sphere up until they started experimenting with giving the player a companion throughout the entire intro. He may not be the same as the GDC footage, which utilized a Portal 1 core model, but this is him alright. Enjoy seeing how he reacts to the world around him. And so we finally arrive at the Morgan Freeman sphere. And
lady, oh, this is gonna hurt, lady. Oh, you're
Critical error.
oh, yeah. I'm absolutely just teetering on the precipice here, lady. Put me down. Bloody hell, lady, have you lost your mind? Oh. Come on. Give it. Oh. Put me down, cause I. Oh. Yes, absolutely do. Oh my.
Hard feelings.
They're gonna kill both of us. We're in so much trouble. You monster! Oh! This is a real. We're in deep trouble. Do you have any idea where you're going? Oh boy. Oh. You're killing me. Can't you just put me back and do this by yourself? Make up your mind. This was your idea, lady.
When you plug the final core in, the game will suddenly fade to black with an end of playtest screen, before playing smooth jazz and popping up an exit image. This is the exact descriptor Josh Weir gives in A Profound Waste of Time issue number 4, of how the Portal 2 Overwatch demo ended. What exactly an Overwatch demo entails is effectively an internal showcase to Valve's Overwatch, a group of higher-ups which tend to determine the wider company's interest in if a project should be developed further. Unfortunately, there was no full ending for 2009 Portal 2 planned, and there likely never was beyond a vague notion that Glados sort of let you leave Aperture after you helped rebuild her. Shortly after October 2009, Wheatley was introduced to the game, and the story began to shift and change to accommodate for his presence, officially marking the end of the Core Hub era. And, with that, the end of Project 2009's recreated campaign. We at Inquiry Software thank you for playing Project 2009. We hope you had fun, and we hope you learned something new today.
Bye.